to Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network. Now, here are your hosts, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler.
Welcome back here to Inside the Game on this Monday, November 24th, number 196. I'm Jonathan Turner. That's Nathan Wangler, Ryan Glinsky, our producer. And it was a busy weekend of soccer here, playoff soccer around the United States, MLS, NWSL, USL Championship. They had their finale here this weekend as well. College women's soccer, the Men's College Cup, all that. It continues to flow here as we get closer and closer to the end of the year. But, hey, real quick, before we dive into anything soccer-related, how was your weekend, Nathan?
Oh, it was really good. I mean, we can dive into soccer-related because I feel like soccer was a part of it, especially with, some of the updates we were giving. And I was actually following along with some of the playoff games yesterday. That Virginia game was wild. I was kind of tracking that one as I was gaming last night a little bit. But, no, outside of that, it's been great. We're getting into the time of the year where the wallets have to come out and things are going to get busy, and that's exactly what this week is looking like for me right now. So, but I'm excited. That's hey, we live for it. We're used to the lifestyle with what we do for a living. Nothing new for us. So, but no, the college playoffs have been absolutely wild. Made a video yesterday talking about how could we be peaking at the right time with a lot of the performances we've seen from American players. I say over the last handful of months, but really just this weekend, you look at the three that really were able to break through: Tim Weah, Malik Tillman, Christian Pulisic, with another goal for in Serie A for AC Milan. So there's a lot to cover. There's a lot to chat about. And, I think it's all kind of happening at the right time. But are my expectations getting too far ahead? And should I reel things back in? I don't know. So, but the weekend was great for sure.
Michigan State women's soccer making history this weekend. Yesterday, punching their ticket into the Elite Eight. That's the first time that's ever happened in women's program history at Michigan State University. They did so by beating Colorado yesterday in East Lansing. And so that's big news, obviously, for them. We've seen them, I think, ranked as high as in the top 5 this season in the women's side. So they're obviously having a phenomenal season and their best season in history.
Yeah, and it's great to see. I think they've really turned it on here in the latter half of things, and got to talk to Coach here on the podcast. And he had mentioned just how promising really this season was for that group because of the balance that they had, which I think is something that is so valuable to coaches and people that try to manage lineups. It's hard to get all your rotations correct. It's hard to have all the right people in the right places, but they've found a formula, and because of their balance, it's carried them that far. So they're really good luck for that program.
As we get ready to talk, obviously, about a lot of other soccer stuff happening here around the U.S., and I know Ryan wants to talk about some things happening over in Premier League land. Yesterday I had a chance to celebrate kind of a Thanksgiving of sorts. We talked about the importance of turkey here, with Ryan a few weeks ago. And I will say this, that my wife does a fantastic job of making turkey. And I don't, it's not one of those things, Ryan, where you can take the turkey that we had yesterday and I think reheat it, bring it here in the morning where it's like the same as right off the oven and at the table. And so I don't know if I would be able to change your mind unless you were literally sitting in my kitchen yesterday as it came out of the oven and had and took a slice. And so and again, I could be totally wrong in that, but I feel pretty confident that you'd have to be there to know how good it really truly was, and to be fair, how much of a beast my wife is when it comes to making turkey, and how much of a failure if your family isn't making turkey. So
he's just saying that because Bianca is just over yonder
I mean,
Under
there's only.
brownie
I mean,
points.
let's be honest. I mean, everybody I talk to says when they say they don't like turkey, it's related to the lack of the ability to make said turkey the way it's supposed to be made on Thanksgiving.
And I said that could very well be the thing, but I have yet to taste turkey that has tasted good.
So I think that's important. So you are officially invited. Actually, no, you're not invited to my sister's house on Thursday. I don't know if her turkey's
Didn't
going
want
to
to go anyway. That's fine. Wasn't going to go anyway.
My
I
wife's
was
not
really
making that
hoping
turkey.
to get that invite.
What up, Nate?
I was really hoping to get that invite. Darn.
I'm going to lose sleep now because I'm not invited.
I don't know. I feel like if I invited you to my sister's house, it would be the same disappointment. Possibly. I don't know.
Oh boy.
I love my sister to death, but she's not my wife, and so I don't know if it's the same. But that didn't come out right, no matter how I put it. But anyways, we
I
had
was
our
gonna say I'm happy that's the case.
we had our Thanksgiving yesterday, and it was great. You know, my wife, or there's hors d'oeuvre families or appetizer families, and there's not. Right. So when you go to the restaurant, I'm sure, you know, hey, some people are like, I just get my meal, my water, or whatever, and that's it. Right. I don't want to waste any of my stomach space on anything but the meal. We are like an appetizer family. We want to have cheese sticks and onion rings, you know, when you go to the restaurant, right? Or grab like spinach dip, right? We want to have an appetizer, right? Maybe some fried pickles or, you know, things like that, right?
Ooh.
But yesterday, you know, we're hosting, right? And so my wife wants to make a charcuterie board, right? Which, you know, is different cheeses and meats and crackers, right? Lunch meat, you know, sliced cheeses and goat cheese and honeycomb. You know, something you'd like straight see out of like Pinterest, right? If you don't know what Pinterest is, I can't help you. But
What's Pinterest?
I said I can't help you. I already said it. It's like, but straight out of like this Pinterest environment, right? And then we have like tortilla chips, right? Not just tortilla. You know, we have different variations of tortilla chips, right? And like 6 different dipping sauces, salsas, and cheese dips, right? And then there's a veggie tray, right? Had that in there as well, and so. You're like, okay, well, you have to kind of pace yourself because if you eat all of it too quickly, then you don't have enough room for the main course, right? And so that's always, and her family, her mom and dad, and her cousin, I don't know if they've ever really been big hors d'oeuvre, right? They're not, but it's so much fun, I think, making, you know, the whole thing that. But what's left over, all that stuff left, all of it. We have like all of that stuff's left over, right? All the hors d'oeuvre. It's fantastic. We have stuff to eat for days. The unhealthy stuff to eat for days. But yeah,
Good
man.
stuff,
I mean,
though.
you know, well, here's the thing too, right? I don't. You guys are still young, so you haven't quote unquote hosted your own party per se, right? Your own gathering. Because I mean, as you start to get older and you have, you know, kids and
I've
wife-
hosted parties, just not like where food's involved.
It's what I'm saying, but you know, hosting a college, you know, bash, not the same thing, right? Gotta go get the keg, go grab some beer. That's not the same thing as literally hosting.
It can be.
Dude,
it can
there's
be.
not a 48-hour like
stressful,
build up
JP, you
to
know.
no,
No,
unless
because we get everything
You know,
done in like
how many beers?
3 hours.
You know,
It's
I gotta
not-
rip
it's
my
not the same
door
thing.
off the hinges
It's not
and
the
make
same
a table
no,
out
no,
of it.
it's not the same thing. It's like okay,
know?
it's like the same thing is true. Okay, when you get married and you have kids, the pressure associated and the stress associated with getting everyone into a vehicle on the way to a road trip,
No,
right?
there-
It's like
there's
it's
some
like
stressful parties that we had
I'm just saying, like it's
in the
not
build-up.
It's not the same thing, dude.
oh.
I'm not
Same
gonna I'm
thing.
not gonna compare your 22-year-old, you know, beer pong bash to a full on party thrown by a family. I'm not doing that.
But you're
I'm
not
not doing
coordinating
that.
a DJ to come to family Thanksgiving. You know what I mean?
No,
Not
there was
getting
one
DJ
in
Chad
particular. There's
to
a couple
come,
that
you know.
were really stressful that we made work. So
Anyways, I just I
life.
wanted what I wanted to say is that there, you know, but you know, my wife started preparing for the food for this thing on like Tuesday. Right, I mean, like the process, right? The menu ideas, the Pinteresting that has to happen. You know, we ended up painting our entire downstairs in preparation for this thing, and so it's like, and we still have more to come, right? In the next week, we have more guests coming over here later this weekend. So it's like, there's a lot to go into it. Anyways, it was just a really fun experience yesterday. Fun day. Had a chance to hang out with their family. Had a chance to hang out with some family I haven't seen on her side in a bit. I don't even know, cousin-in-law, I guess is what you would say, right? 10-year-old cousin-in-law Zane. We were heading outside playing some football yesterday. Watching see how he throws the ball. And it was a really fun experience as well. So it was a cool I guess end to the weekend and the beginning of our week here this week as we kick off the Thanksgiving week, right? That's what this is. We are 3 days away from Thanksgiving. The Lions did win yesterday, by the way, so congratulations to the Lions, right? They hey, they are not in trouble. They won. The Bears almost lost to them. The Packers almost lost to the Giants. The Lions almost lost.
Well,
we are just fine.
I will say, I'll back
the
up.
Bears
I'll
are
back up
8-3. Aren't they like 8-3?
They need heroics every single game.
Doesn't matter. You have the win is the win.
John,
I'll back up.
All right, I'll tell you what. I don't think any team is taking the Bears seriously, right? I think every team is. It's like Uruguay against U.S. Every team does not take the Bears seriously.
This is what I'll say. JT, I'll back you up on this one. Simply because it is the National Football League, it's one of those situations where literally anybody can lose on any given week. Like, that's just the truth. You're playing with a field full of professionals, and coming off of that last loss going into that game, there's a hangover effect associated with that. So, to a certain degree, yes, a win is a win. But do I feel like, I don't know, like I've said, and I know this is a big
we ain't winning no Super Bowl, I'll tell you that.
That's what I'm saying. That's the only thing that I'm saying. I don't think this is. I think we missed our window.
Well, only one team wins it every year, and it's not going to be the Chiefs this year.
I get it.
I wouldn't say we missed the window at this point, but I'm just saying
I can't tell you this though.
The
Chiefs will not be winning. The Chiefs will not be winning a Super Bowl this year.
No, the Giants are.
I feel good about saying that right now at this point. But either way, we have a great show lined up for you this morning. It's number 196. It will continue here on the other side of this break. You're watching Inside the Game on the National Soccer Network.
Experience the thrill of the game like never before with NSN's Game Rewind.
Dive into full match commentaries enhanced with cutting-edge dynamic graphics,
letting you relive the highs and lows of your favorite matches in astonishing detail.
Whether it's a championship win or a legendary play,
NSN Game Rewind bridges the past and future with a broadcast experience designed to captivate.
Call 586-304-4405
and start watching today.
Welcome back to Inside the Game number 196. I'm Jonathan Turner, Nathan Wangler, and Ryan Glinsky, our producer, as we welcome back here into our studios here in Shelby Township and into Grand Rapids there with Mr. Nathan Wangler. Ryan, what is on tap here this morning on Inside the Game?
We got a lot of stuff. Couple USA players performed this weekend. A couple of championships. A couple teams were crowned this weekend as well. And one thing in our conversation with a soccer coach this past Friday, I put in our discussion as well in terms of the U.S. men's national team because I thought it was quite interesting. And Michael Bradley said something about the U.S. that I find a little bit interesting. But we have a ton of stuff that we can talk about. Maybe some of that will spill over in tomorrow. But wherever you guys want to go next, I'm down.
I think we should start, obviously, with what happened here this weekend in the NWSL. A new champion was crowned. Gotham FC wins the NWSL championship over the Washington Spirit. Rose Lavelle, the beloved Rose Lavelle, gets the goal and the 1-0 victory for Gotham FC as they are crowned champions here of the 2025 season.
You think darkness is your ally. You can't just not say a name like that and expect me not to do the Bane voice.
I mean, I guess. I mean, anything is possible. I mean, and he does it well. We have
You merely adopted the doc. I was born in it.
What I will say I do like about that though is each of its postseason runs, each of its title runs for Gotham, they've been an underdog in every single one of them. They entered this year as the 8th seed in an 8-team playoff. That's wild to me. I didn't realize the NWSL had as much parity as they really do. And, obviously Rose Lavelle is an easy story, easy person to cheer for. And I know that a lot of American fans absolutely adore Rose and absolutely adore what that team has done. And obviously that's where the conversation is going to shift to after 2026 is 2027. Can the women's team get back to the top of the world? And I'm sure some of them watch some of our videos and maybe even this podcast and maybe bang their head against a wall because all we do is talk about the men's team all the time. That's relevant right now, right? Because we have the World Cup coming up, but can't forget about the women's team and what they've done lately. But yeah, Gotham again as an underdog emerging as a champion. It's crazy to think that they're never quite out of it. It's just one of those teams, if they get in, they're going to have a shot. But yeah, that was thrilling the other night.
So Rose Lavelle in the 80th minute cashes in her ticket at PayPal Park is what it's called. I think that's an awesome name for a stadium, and yeah. So so what's up with the sound effect, Ryan?
I think it's kind of yeah.
You don't like the PayPal Park?
Lame.
No.
No.
Well, I mean,
No.
she
No,
tried to auction off the
moving.
goal, but it didn't happen.
Nice. Good one. Good ball.
But yeah, PayPal Park was a place to be. Sold out crowd, by the way. But an 80th minute goal scored by Rose Lavelle proved to be the decisive and lone goal in that game. They 1-0 victory. This is the second year in a row the Washington Spirit have fallen in the final by a scoreline of 1-0. They lost last year to Orlando City in the same fashion. Orlando Pride. Apologize. In the same fashion, right? And so obviously they're trying to get over that hump of getting their NWSL championship. This was Gotham's second NWSL championship in their history.
Yeah, and like I said, once they get to that point, they've proven that they can just win in critical games, in playoff games. They've done so consistently, and they did so again this year, and historic in that way. And they've built a reputation and they've built an expectation, and they executed on that.
That they did. As we also this weekend, which interesting. This game was a primetime game for the NWSL. This game kicked off at 8:00 Eastern this weekend. And on the flip side, the men's USL championship between Tulsa and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. That game kicked off at noon here on Saturday. Riverhounds getting their first ever championship here in their history. Defeated Tulsa in a PK shootout. There were no goals scored at all during regulation. And all 5 Riverhound players knock home their PKs to win on Tulsa's turf in front of a sold-out crowd, the record crowd there in Tulsa, 10,000 fans watching
Why
that
did they play
game.
at a baseball field?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, first off, I think Tulsa, it's, I mean, there might be, I don't know how many people, live in the Tulsa area, but my guess is there's probably not a lot of stadiums to choose from. And so they have a minor league baseball team, I believe. And so
The Tulsa Drillers.
Right. And so that's probably why they have enough capacity to fit enough people into those environments. I know for a fact that they were for the final, they were actually taking down their baseball netting. They usually the netting up, but they took it down specifically for this game.
Oh, it's affiliated with the Dodgers.
Interesting. That's a great performance by them, though. I gotta say, though, JT, you gotta love the fact that their goalkeeper was their most valuable player, though. Like that's how they ended up winning that. They won it with their goalkeeper. Dick was a big reason why they ended up winning that championship. Eric Dick, to be specific, most valuable player, 5 saves in the match and 5 big ones too.
It's a great way to be a big Dick, though. I'm going to be fair.
Well,
yeah, 16 shutouts for Dick. I mean, Dick was massive this year.
like if we're
He
talking
was so
about
big for that team.
if we're talking about how well Dick performed this whole tournament, he had 450 minutes without giving up a goal all playoffs. So I would say that Dick performed really well in the biggest moments, and they came away with the victory.
That's
Like,
a long stretch too.
That's
16 shutouts.
450 minutes without a
wild.
goal. All playoff long.
That's crazy.
Didn't give up a goal. Dick performed really well.
Yeah. He might earn his way. He might earn his way into a. Yeah, he's
And be fair,
maybe a higher level.
I think
maybe
it's just
MLS
the tip of the
contract,
iceberg for
something
him.
like that. Yeah, it could be. There's a lot more where that came from for him. So I'm looking forward to seeing what his career, where it brings him.
A
Back
long,
to you, JT.
long career for Eric Dick.
Nice.
You just
Yeah.
you can't ask for better for a better last name in this environment,
Yeah.
man. Congratulations
And
to Pittsburgh Riverhounds. This weekend we were supposed to cover a UPSL round of 16 game, and I want to spend some time talking about this morning because, to be fair, this is the kind of stuff that kind of irks me when it comes to the game, and I understand why. This happened. I get it. I mean, there are rules, right? we were covering Chicago Nation versus Foot Ohio. We did Foot Ohio last week versus Detroit United in the round of 32. Foot won that game 3-1. Chicago Nation beat the Black Cat 90th plus 7, so in the death. 7th minute of stoppage time to win their game 2-1 over Black Cat to make their way into this game. Chicago Nation had to drive 6 hours one way, so 12 hours round trip to go to Foot Ohio, Marion, Ohio, Grant Middle School, where we were last week. Our camera operator drove in from Michigan. That's a 3.5 hour drive for a 6 o'clock kickoff. They get there, get our camera set up. We're here ready to go. We built all of our graphics. We're set to go. And I get a text message from someone at the site saying this game's not going to happen because the field is 5 yards under size of the rules, the minimum standards. And are you kidding me? No. And we talked to the league. The league's like, yeah, we don't know. This game is right now is going to be canceled. We don't know if it's going to be a forfeit. We don't know, if they're going to play again next weekend. We don't know any of it. And I don't know if there's an official statement that's come from the UPSL. I do know that Chicago Nation yesterday put out their thing saying that they've made it into the quarterfinals in Pittsburgh here on the 7th of December and 6th or 7th, whatever day it's going to be. Right. But I've not heard an official. So that as a forfeit, it went down as a forfeit because the team's required to follow the minimum standards. But here's where I get pissed off a little bit. And it has nothing to do with the minimums. It has nothing to do with Chicago Nation. Because again, you're coming in and the requirement is 65 and you're on a field that's at 60. And so, I don't want to play this game. But you drove 6 hours. You have a 12-hour round trip. I mean, you're really not going to play this game. You're really not going to go out there and fight this game and give it your a fighting chance. I think there's again, obviously there's an appeal situation where you might be able to win an appeal, especially if the field's not regulation. But I don't know. I don't like it. I don't know. And I know there are rules. I know. I get it. It has nothing to do with the fact that we are covering the game. I mean, the game is what it is. But, I mean, do we feel like this isn't like the NFL? This isn't, Major Arena Soccer had requirements that Chihuahua Savage refused to follow.
Great name, by the way.
They refused to follow. Their arena was not up to par. And there are arenas all around this country that were not up to par. And they were a professional league. And they allowed it to happen. Because they knew that it was hard to find, the biggest challenge in this country right now is teams finding access to affordable places to play their games. Yeah. And, and so like last week, Detroit United, they didn't question it at all. Well, wouldn't they have won that game then? I mean, if we look at it, right, they played that game last week. They didn't raise any hell whatsoever about the size of the field. They went out there and played. They didn't care. They lose that game 3-1. I mean, is there an argument that Detroit United should have been playing Chicago Nation? And that they shouldn't get the bye? If you're going to forfeit the game against Chicago Nation, doesn't that mean the game that took place last week, the same thing? Doesn't that mean Detroit United gets to live another day? I just don't like it. And again, I understand it. I mean, as a coach, you're always looking for the thing that gives you a leg up, gives you a chance, right? You want to fight for your team. But is this the kind of fight that we want? Is this what we want in the game? Is this necessary? Should this game have been played? I'm just curious your guys' thoughts on this.
Yeah, I mean it's a hard line to toe, I suppose, right? Because if it's not regulation, it's not regulation. But what is weird to me is like, how would you not know that well ahead of time? Like that just seems like something that you would already kind of know, given that you understood that you were going to be playing at this facility, right? So you know what it looks like, you know that it needs to be a certain size. So clearly there was a miscommunication there along those lines, but I think you're right. It does create a mess for everybody involved here. And, you're going to have certain teams and certain programs and others that are just a little bit more particular about certain things. And like I said, that's okay. But my biggest question as it pertains to this specific instance is, how did we not know this information ahead of time? I feel like maybe we kind of missed the boat on this one, being that wasn't readily understood before that day. And obviously it creates a frustrating situation for everybody involved. Our camera operators are they're troopers sometimes, man, with some of the places they got to go and stuff they got to do. So all respect in the world to those guys. But yeah, it certainly is a sticky situation. You could say that much.
I would say, doing the Detroit game versus Food, Ohio, was it 2 weekends ago now? I mean, people played on it before, and I didn't think it was an issue because it's a football field, and it seemed to be fine, and no one's had an issue before. But at the same time, if you're Chicago, I mean, you get through to the quarterfinal, or you get through without even playing the game. So I guess that happens, and I guess they found like a little bit of a loophole, if you want to call it that. But at the same time, you have to, follow it a little bit. I personally didn't like it because you traveled all that way. Like, you might as well go play the game. Like, you should, and it's good for the game. It's good to, get, because what if we see like the greatest goal of all time in that game? I'm just saying that could have happened. But, people have already done that before. Like, people have already Exactly. People have already played on it, but at the same time, I guess if you advance without playing as well, I guess it's fine too. So it's just kind of an interesting spot. And I mean, I can see both parties of not playing the game still advancing. Like, that's fine too. Or go out there and play. I see both sides, but at the end of the day, people just want to see a good game of soccer. And you could say they were robbed of it because Foot Ohio coming into the game, I don't think has lost a game all year. They score a ton of goals. And then Chicago, like, it was going to be two contrast styles of play, and I would have really liked to see it. But at the end of the day, Chicago Nation advances, and Foot Ohio knew the regulations, didn't go with it. So again, it's just an interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that it's fair to say that that it's possible that while, first off, UPSL is massive. It's a 400 league, 400 team league, right? It's massive. And so, you think about every conference has their own conference manager, conference whoever, commissioner, whatever you want to call it. And so obviously that commissioner's job is to verify this stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, the team is going out and trying to find, I don't think the team is measuring the field. I think the team is calling. I think the team is calling the local football team, the local high school. Hey, we want a field. Can we use it? What's it going to cost? They're figuring out all the pricing. Ultimately it's up to the league to determine that this is a core, and the league is the one determining where these games are played. Like, for example, we're going to Pittsburgh here in a week and a half to go cover that quarterfinal game, and so they know that field is right where it needs to be. I'm not putting the blame of this on the league. I just don't know how much of it falls on the team either. I mean, it's like somebody needs to be double checking this. This should be like a question. Hey, you're hosting the playoffs. We need to make sure your field's regulation. We need to walk this. We need to verify this. Did that take place, or is it just being assumed? And because again, as much as Chicago Nation is in the right for saying, hey, we want to play on the right size field. Well, and as much as Food Ohio is in the wrong for not having the right size field, where is in fact the accountability? Is it on obviously from the standpoint of the result, it falls solely on Food Ohio. But this isn't Food Ohio's playoffs. This is the UPSL's playoffs. And so who is responsible for making that is correct? So again, I think, why not say, okay, well, we play the game. And if Food Ohio wins, then, there's an appeal process. You're probably going to win the appeal. right? But then there's the risk of injury. There's the risk of what happens if a player gets a red card or misconduct. All those things become a real thing that had you not played, it wouldn't have happened. And so I understand that perspective. I just don't like it because I feel like I don't know. I feel like it's not good for the game when you give teams automatic wins over things like this.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a tough spot, tough instance, tough dilemma to talk about. I mean, everyone wants to see soccer at the end of the day, but I guess if they violated the rule and this rule's already in place, then I guess you can't really argue it. But you can argue both sides. It's just I've never been a part of that, so it's a tough spot to really like kind of compare and contrast the two things because someone's in the wrong, someone's in the right each time, and if you violate the regulations, you violate the regulations.
And you had brought up the domino effect too, and now you start looking backwards, and that's where it gets really hard because that kind of murkies the water a little bit. Because now you're not just worrying about just this matchup, which obviously I think that's not correct. But then you start thinking about all the other games, everything else that's been played there too. So it can certainly create a mess.
Well, yeah, because every home game they had would have been undersized, and so that means that would never have even made it to the playoffs in the first place. Every game should be forfeited, vacated. Every win should be vacated, right? So it's like Michigan, or Ohio State, right? Like I mean, they just don't have a Connor, right? They should have had a Connor checking the field size. What they should have had verifying the fields. I mean, but hey, I at the end of the day, hey, the outcome is correct, right? As much as I don't like it as a fan of the game, if the rules are the rules, and so Chicago Nation did exactly what they were supposed to do. You call it in and say, hey, this is not the right size field. What's the plan here? And then ultimately the league made the right decision. We're gonna, forfeit the game. Chicago gets the win. As much as you don't like it, it's the right way to handle it. It's just you look at it and say, well, where could this have gotten? Where it didn't get to this point, right? Where could you double check this? Is there a way? Because I know that when we were doing NISA with Gold Star Detroit back in 2023 during that season, it was 24, whatever it was. We know for sure that the league came in and they were doing testing on the field, and it wasn't to standard, and so they had to move their games to another field. They went from out in Livonia at Madonna to out to Romeo. Significant difference. Played at Michigan Stars Complex out in Romeo, and so because the field had passed the testing. And so those things are necessary to make sure, that you're the player's safety and all that stuff. And there's a reason why fields are 65 yards long, wide. The minimum is because, again, you want to keep players safe. A smaller field might lead to more injuries, might lead to a style of play that's different that maybe creates a more physical environment, maybe that players don't want to be a part of. But either way, it was very interesting. We are covering that quarterfinal matchup, Chicago Nation. I'm not sure if we even know who's playing in that game yet, but we'll obviously keep you updated as we get ready to call that game here later in the first week of December. Ryan, what else is on tap?
Again, what do you guys want to talk about? There's lots of things that we could go.
Well, I mean, you're in charge, my guy. You're the producer.
Surprise us.
Yeah, surprise us.
Let's go on one that did on social media, so we can read a couple of comments of what some people think as well. But yeah, John, we were talking about this on Friday. Do the USA regulars start for the U.S. in the World Cup?
I mean, do they start? I mean, I don't know how you don't. I mean, again,
based on what's happened recently in these games, some of these players have not featured. I forgot to put Yunus Musa on there too, but some of these players, Anthony Robinson is not. Does Robinson have a spot? Does McKennie? Does Adams? Does Wade? Does Pulisic? Do these players have spots based on the fight and the heart coming from the B team, the bench players? Because I don't think that these guys that are on your screen right now have the same amount of fight that those MLS players, that B team has shown.
I mean, I got a ridiculous hypothetical to throw out there.
Oh boy!
People are gonna jump down. You're gonna jump down my throat. It might be bold here, but I mean it's worth asking, right? Does the U.S. men's national team look better without Christian Pulisic on the field?
Yes.
Am I crazy for thinking that?
No.
A couple fans.
What does that tell us, though?
Well,
like
it's
not that I want to take that any particular way, because we know what Christian Pulisic can do and has done. That graphic that I saw yesterday was wild. I mean, nobody one other person in Serie A has as many goal contributions in the last 3 seasons as Christian Pulisic does. He has 48 of them. Scored another goal over the weekend, came back off of injury, immediately scored a goal. So, we know how capable he is. I don't think this takes anything away from how individually talented the guy is. But every time we see this team throw out a ragtag group that doesn't necessarily include Christian Pulisic, they've lost 1 game without him? That was obviously the Mexico game in the Gold Cup. But, they kind of move better without him. I don't know. Do they feel like maybe they can share the rock a little bit more? Maybe they don't have the pressure of having to make sure that they're setting him up all the time. I don't know what it is, but it's not ridiculous to say on its face that we've played better without him. Now, if you want to take it to the extent of, we don't need him, okay, pump the brakes. That's not correct. He better be on the damn team, otherwise we're in trouble. But what does that look like for this squad? I mean, I don't think in any world would we even consider not starting Christian Pulisic or not making him the prime focus on this team. But have we not played better without him? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. That's all.
Yeah, this happens a lot, right? When you rely so heavily on a star, when that star leaves the field, the team's forced to play a different style of play. And so I think that that's true, obviously, in this scenario. I don't know if there's a world, at least, again, unless things dramatically change, and I say dramatically. We talked about this, that the last 6 months, the last 3 windows, including this summer, was a trial period for players who are looking to fight for a spot on this team. And no different than in any other environment. When you think about training camps and think about preseason stuff, you don't see a lot of the stars playing in those preseason environments, right? You see the backups to see what they're capable of, to see what your depth looks like. All those things are true. And so what's going to have to happen is we're going to have to see our stars, or the players who are regulars on this team, playing here in February and March to see how they look and to see how they play together. I think if we are not seeing the level of play that we are seeing from this, the non-regulars, I think the argument could be that, we won't see some of these players starting because we look different. We're not having that same fight. Is that possible? I just don't know how right now in this moment we could sit here and say say one way or another definitively that the team that we saw on Tuesday would be the team that would start on the first day of the World Cup.
No,
not knowing that, you know what I mean? Would be hard for us to. Pochettino couldn't sell that. You know what I mean? He could sell it if we saw those two the starters not playing very well and we got our asses kicked against Germany and Portugal, right? He could sell it then because everyone's like, oh my God, we're panic. The team we have on the field's not good. Bring the other ones in. But I don't think we could sell that today.
Yeah, and there's no way of selling that. And I know he's going to be a part of it. I know he's going to be in the mix. I think this team moves better when Malik Tillman is on the field. I certainly saw that in the Gold Cup. In terms of Tim Weah, you had mentioned him, Ryan, and I want to kind of get your opinion on this too, where you think he slots into the mix, because we talk about players missing windows and not being on the field, especially when it came to Gio Reyna, and the reason why, obviously, his long hiatus from the international team finally coming back as to why he was questionable. I think Gio slots in talent-wise. I think he's up to par with everybody else in that position. However, if you miss time, you miss time. But you look at what he's doing over across the way, and Tim Weah's been having an outstanding season. All 3 of those guys have been having outstanding seasons. So, again, like I said earlier on this show, it creates a different talk. It creates a conversation around, we have depth, but where does all of it fit? And that becomes more difficult, obviously, as we move along. But all I was saying in my video that I said yesterday, are we peaking at the right time? If you were to tell me 2 months ago, here's how these windows are going to go going into December. We're going to go 5-0 against World Cup teams. We're going to beat the brakes off of Uruguay with half the field filled up with MLS players. Tillman will be on the field, not Malik Tillman, the other of the Tillmans, the one we accidentally put in the computer database and we came up with the wrong Tillman. Timmy's going to be on the field, right? And we're going to beat Uruguay 5-1. If you were to tell me that, oh, and by the way, here's how our boys are performing across the pond. Tim Weah, Christian Pulisic, Malik Tillman. Obviously, some of them have cooled off. We saw the start with Josh Sargent, but that's really just the tip of the iceberg. By the way, I'll cover the Carter Vickers component of this, conversation. Achilles injury, bad break for him. But anyways, if you were to tell me and paint this picture of what the last couple of months have been, not just for the international team, but also for what our players have done in some of the top leagues over in Europe, I would tell you that is the perfect scenario going into this break until we finally see international play again in 2026. But what does it mean? Does Mauricio Pochettino know what to do with everything that's in front of him? I think he's proven over the last 5 games he can. I know that they're just friendlies, but am I getting my expectations up only to get dashed, or are we really starting to hit our stride at the time that we need to? And I think that's why you see those comparisons with Mexico and what just the utter failure that they've had the last couple of windows, because, in comparison, it seems like one's going up and one's going down. To compare our situation to theirs, even some Mexican national fans are like, yeah, I mean, it's not even close right now. Head to head, we know what happened in the Gold Cup. But if you were to tell me everything that's happened, I would tell you that's perfect. But what does it mean? What does it all mean at the end of the day?
Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I would say Germany and Portugal will answer this question. I think I think at that point in time, I think everyone are regulars, if you want to call them that. However people want to coin who the regulars are, or what you want to call them, the A team, B team, whatever it is. We will have to figure this all out by March. March with Portugal and Germany, because those are 2 real tests. And whether those 2 take it seriously or not, that's up to them at that point. But based on what I've seen in the last couple of windows, and I would say that maybe Pulisic and them aren't taking it as serious as well. That's definitely something to mention as well. Maybe they're not taking it seriously the way that those MLS players are making it serious. And I think that there's a little bit in terms of the MLS player. I think that they've been bashed so many times in terms of the American media, American soccer media, and I think all around the world, that they're out there to prove a point as well, to prove that their league is actually a thing. But when I'm looking at Christian Pulisic, obviously he has to start. He has to be out there on the field, because at the end of the day, I'm not saying we're going to win a World Cup, but in order to go far, then we are going to have our stars, quote unquote, out there. And I'm also starting to figure out, I don't even think we have stars in terms of the soccer sphere. I think outside of Pulisic, I guess maybe you could say Anthony Robinson, maybe Tyler Adams. I feel like we have just a bunch of guys. I feel like we just have a bunch of role players. If you look at the Tigers, for example, that's just a bunch of guys. Tarek Skubal, you can say Riley Green's a superstar, whatever you want to say. But outside of those 2, who's your star? Who's your superstar? There ain't much. And with the USA team, Pulisic, Anthony Robinson maybe, but he's been hurt, and Tyler Adams. Outside of that, it's just a bunch of guys. We don't have superstars. You look at the last couple of World Cups, Argentina, Emi Martinez, star. Lionel Messi, star. Julian Alvarez, star. Di Maria, star. You can say all that. And then you go back to 2018, France, Mbappe, star. Griezmann, star. Hugo Lloris, star. You have so many stars. And you need stars to eventually win a championship. You can ride the underdog. You can ride the young player, the guys that are out there, the journeymen, for only so long. That's why when it comes to March Madness, they only go so far and they never win the whole thing. Because you need stars. And I think that outside of Pulisic and Anthony Robinson, Adams, I don't think we have stars. We truly don't. And I think March will matter, will prove if we need these players or not. And we actually have a chat. Khalid in the TikTok chat. He says we have to play Morocco's A team for a true test. Well, we do have Portugal and Germany for our true test coming up here in March. Morocco,
will
don't
we see
play
their
them.
will
I
we
don't wanna
see their
play
18 though? I mean, will we even see them?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's the question, right?
Barring injury, I think so. I think so.
I don't know. Again, I look at this. I asked this question on
I don't want to play Morocco
on
by the way. I'm done with
Friday
them.
about us having a seat at the
I don't
table.
think anybody
and
knows.
I know that got some some comments on TikTok as well about us having a seat at the table, and I truly believe we don't have a seat at the table. But I was asking the question because again, when we talk about the mentality of countries around the world, what they think of Team USA. Now, I heard a quote from Jurgen Klinsmann talking about how great our team is and how the players we have now are better than they were when he was around. Of course, he's going to say that because he's a former head coach of the U.S. men's national team. But what are coaches around the world truly thinking about the U.S. men's national team? Do they really think of us as a threat? Now, granted, you should never take an opponent lightly, but are we a true threat? If you're sitting in your room right now planning out your schemes for the 2026 World Cup, is the U.S. men's national team, do they scare you? Do they scare you?
But maybe that's a good thing.
Well, yes, maybe. But again, it's one of those things, right? When you start talking about does Ohio State scare teams? Does Alabama? Do these teams? Yes, they do. Of course they do, because they've been very good for a long time, right? Is England thinking about us in a way in which this team could be? No. Are they going to go out there and try and kick our ass? I mean, and do they think they can kick our ass without ever walking out in the field before the game? They know they can kick our ass. It's things like that go into the mindset of how teams prepare, right? And I'm not saying that teams don't prepare for the U.S. men's national team, but if a lot of times you're like an afterthought. You're like, we're going to go beat them, then we're going to get the next opponent, right? It's no different than if we're facing Panama. When we're playing against teams that are considered to be inferior to us, we don't oftentimes give them the credit that they would deserve because we don't think of them as very good. And I think we're that way around the world. Even if we're 15th in the world, I still think that no one out there takes us seriously. And what does the U.S. men's national team have to do in February and January that Germany and Portugal don't have to do? Does Germany and Portugal really have to put out their best team in order to be prepared for the World Cup? Now, as a coach, I would argue, yes, they probably do. But in the whole scheme of things, do they do that because they're trying to give themselves an advantage going into the World Cup? And so I because don't want to show all your cards, right? Don't put out your best player. Leave some question marks out there. I think that those are true things that take place in these environments that we don't have the luxury. Like, we don't have that luxury. Like, again, if we look at what happened with the Detroit Lions this preseason, right? We didn't see a single player for the Detroit Lions on the field, not the pitch, but on the field.
On the pitch.
Right? On the field leading up to the start of their season. Why?
Gibbs
because
is
we don't want
phenomenal on
anyone
the
to get
pitch.
hurt, right? And so you're trying to keep people healthy, and you don't want to show all your cards. You want to try to keep some things close to the vest.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said about that, especially now that we're getting closer and we don't have the luxury. As Ryan said, we don't have stars. We have a lot of really good, and he says role players that understand their role for the most part, journeymen, players who have been playing for a long time, players who will go out there and fight like hell for you. But at the end of the day, talent aside, I'd say all that other stuff aside, but talent alone, can we win on talent? No, we cannot. I've already said that the only way we win this thing is by the intangibles, the things that other countries aren't going to have because they don't need them. I mean, Russia was never going to play the U.S. Hockey harder. It was just they're going to play a better hockey. They're going to play way better hockey, more fundamental, more technical. They understand the game. They're quicker. Everything about them was a better overall team. But the one thing they didn't have is what we had a shit ton of, which was heart and tenacity and fight. Right? And heart.
America.
Right? But is that enough? Is that enough? Would that be enough?
We got to let's read a couple of things because we had a couple of videos this weekend about the same subject, and we'll go over to the fans for the next couple of minutes before we go to question of the day. Jeff Kriengler says we are okay without Pulisic. Dare I say better without Christian Pulisic?
We talked about this. I mean, I think that when it comes to Pulisic, I mean, I think it's. I think we all know that what he's capable of, and I think that because again, he's never really, at least from my perspective, he's never truly had a support, right? And I say a support player to support him. You know, again, Batman to Robin, whether he be Batman or he be Robin doesn't necessarily matter. There's never been a player that could bounce off of it and use that to support his skill set. He gets that in AC Milan in spades. He's got a shit ton of support players around him that can make him better, but also takes the pressure off of him having to be the best player on the field. It allows him to be himself. Christian needs another player on the field who is a star. To be fair, who's better than him. And we don't have that right now. And until that happens, Christian will never see his full potential in a U.S. men's national team jersey. He needs another player that can help kind of ride that stardom, that he could ride with him on the field and go out there and be successful. Until that happens, we will never get the best out of him on this team.
I mean, I can't argue the fact that, like I said, he's far and away the best player on the field. I was just asking the question, and he said, dare I say? That's a big dare, because I don't think we're better without him. We can't not have him. I don't think that's an option. You can completely throw that line of thinking out the window, because it's not going to happen. But, you know, do they move better on the pitch without him? Have they done so? Have they put together some good performances? Yeah, and I think that the players have really gelled. And, you know, it's interesting when you look at, you know, I've seen some like TikTok videos, especially in the Gold Cup when they were winning games leading up to that Mexico game of people making light of the fact that, well, Christian Pulisic's not here, so now we get to play together. Now you get the ball and I get the ball and we can move around and play how we want to play. Like, this is great. Like, you know, I feel like I can breathe again. We don't have the God Pulisic on the field, you know, and everybody's looking at him. What I will say is that when he was on this team and we played against Japan, that was the game that you guys were at, that they ended up winning 2-0 over that team. And they ran that new formation, the one that they've been running with ever since with the three up top.
3-4-3.
3-4-3. They did win that game 2-0. So could it be that he has just not been in the right spot and hasn't been, you know, really, I don't know, you know, there's a lot of question marks there, but you can't win it without him. You can't win without him. I feel like you need him on the field, but I do think it's interesting when you just look at the way they performed without him. I think it's been telling.
Again, I agree with you, but to mention about the Japan game, Japan did not play their best players until the 70th minute.
They did a few.
So no Matoma, no Endo, any of those players. Yeah. Khalid in the TikTok chat, who just liked the live stream, shout out to you. He says we need an American coach. I will say this kind of goes into my next point of, you know, we've had American coaches before, and we haven't won anything. Bob Bradley, Greg Berhalter, who was the Nashville
Bruce
coach?
Arenas?
Bruce Arenas. Who was the Nashville coach that we had for like a hot second in between the Berhalter eras?
Was Caleb Porter? No.
No.
Shit. I don't know.
What's his name? I can picture him. Okay. No,
Yeah, but I don't.
that's our best coach. By the way.
I don't know. We'll lose the internet again or no?
No.
I don't know if that holds true. I mean, we've had Jurgen Klinsmann. That was a shit show. I mean, we could argue on both sides that we haven't had great coaches on either side that have lifted us.
We don't have an identity. That's the biggest thing.
And that's what, again, we've heard that before, right? You have players coming from all around the world, and they're all playing. They're used to playing a certain style, and then you bring it back here. And what style are we? I keep saying that if we somehow adopted the mentality that we could be more of a direct team, I think that would put a lot of teams under pressure because they don't know how to deal with it. And no one knows how to play direct ball and how to defend direct ball across the pond. So you start throwing that down the throat of a Spain or an England, they're going to struggle with that, especially if they're not good in the air. And so I think that if we went that route, we would be absolutely a much better team if we throw in the mix with the possession and building from the back and more structured. But the American coach thing I say is true because even over across the pond, you have a lot of players coming in, but they're all learning to play the European style of and the world, kind of style of the game. the managing the roster here in the U.S., the dynamics at play, the culture, all of that, I think demands an American coach. And I think it's a great point from Khalid that he brought this up and into the conversation. I think Pochettino and like Jurgen Klinsmann, I think they're all doing some great things for the game, helping us to get to new heights. But yeah, I think having a coach who understands the dynamics at play here in the United States would go a long way towards having us long-term success, sustainable success on an international level.
I think it's a good question, but I think it might be a day late and a dollar short, and I'll tell you why. Because we continue to send more of our players across the pond to play in these European leagues. Wouldn't you want someone who has been a part of those leagues and has been at the top end managing teams for the longest time with a resume like Poach to be able to coach those guys? Because they're a part of that theater now, because they're entrenched in that world. And the truth is I think the hiring of Mauricio Pochettino is more than just coaching this U.S. men's national team. I think it is exactly to do what you're talking about and create an identity for the team. Now, does that mean every single level and everybody's going to play that exact way across the United States? No, this is a big country. And a lot of that comes down to the people that lead those teams. And our diversity in our country is something that is a beautiful thing, but it can also hold us back, especially at the youth level. But if we're talking about the national team specifically, with more of our players taking up roster spots in those places, whether it be in Europe, whether it be in Italy or any of these other leagues, we know that Poach has a big, beautiful resume, and that's what he brings into this experience. And he's been in that theater. And I think a lot of it is, the truth is, the school of soccer that he came from, or football, where they call it, in Argentina, there's a lot that I'm sure you can learn from that, right? If you can't beat them, join them. I'm going to use the baseball analogy right now. Who is everybody trying to copy in baseball?
Detroit Tigers.
Not quite. The Dodgers.
Sorry.
They're trying to eat like the Dodgers. They're trying to walk like the Dodgers. They're trying to develop like the Dodgers because they realize that they have created a standard that has not been broken over the last however many years in baseball. The way they do business is better than everybody else. And I get it. They flaunt their money. They flaunt the resources. That's something that a lot of small market teams with these closed pocket owners are just not going to do, just simply because they're cheap and they don't want to do it. But that is the standard. That is the model. And it's the reason why, and even Alabama, like, why did every single assistant coach and coordinator end up going on to get a head coaching job? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they kept rattling off national championship after national championship. So that's what I think the U.S. soccer is trying to do. They're trying to dip into that and get somebody from that school of thought that can create that culture on the national level and give this team an identity moving forward. I get it. We've had Americans coach this team before, and this argument, I think, was more valid to me maybe a few months ago when Mauricio Pochettino fell flat on his face time and time again. Lately, I don't know. He's changed my tone.
But Pochettino is changing his style of play and his coaching to the players he has, not to the philosophy he grew up and coached around. And that's the difference. It's
because of his understanding of the game.
We're talking about players who are getting physical, gritty, and playing hard-nosed soccer that you're not going to see. Like the type of play that we're seeing from U.S. men's national team on Tuesday is not a style of play over there. You know what I mean? Like it's not. It's pretty. It's technical. Yeah, you'll see some physicality. You'll see some late tackles. But the type of this gritty style of play, completely different. Our TikTok, by the way, just ended. By the way, it's a different style of play, and so he is adapting to the players he has versus getting his players to adapt to his style. If that makes any sense, and so that's why there's concern.
Flexibility is a big part of the way they play too. Tactical flexibility is a big part of the Argentinian.
We're not again. I think that there's again when we talk about this specifically, and the dynamics at play here, is that, as I've said before, that the game of soccer around the world is vastly different than what's here in the United States. We have tried to adopt a European style of play, and to be fair, when it comes to the international environment, we fall flat on our face. We can't, from talent, the talent aspect of this that's required to play at the level in which you're seeing other teams play across the world, we don't have it. We're still 20 years away from it. We've talked about that. The only way we give ourselves a fighting chance is to play a style of soccer that combines what you can see maybe across the world, but also what we do here in the United States, which is a very physical and direct way about it. Because again, that's kind of like a hybrid, right? We have like a hybrid.
I think he's doing that though.
No, he's not. He's playing a very technical ball out of the back. He's building up a play, the 3-4-3. What we're seeing with the wing backs, that's a very European style of play. The physicality that's required for, again, the things that will make us a team that can go into a quarterfinal or into a semifinal would be us and the hybrid environment, but really going out there and just outplaying teams. That's the only way we give ourselves a fight. Just playing a team straight up is not going to get us. We're going to lose. Because we self-inflicted wounds that we have I talk about all the time. Like we see them all the time. Our U.S. men's national team just gives the ball to their team and they throw it down your face like really quickly. It happens all the time, and so the only way we give ourselves a fighting chance is if we are very physical and we outwork teams. We have to outwork them, and that's what we saw on Tuesday. We outworked another team. We outworked them to no end. I mean, at least for 45 minutes. In the second half, it didn't matter. We had a 3-goal lead. It didn't, we could sit back and park the bus if we wanted to. It wouldn't have mattered. So, so I think the American coach thing is still relevant. But I think Pochettino still earned his right to be here. I mean, so I think that's also true at the same time. So it's a great question, though.
Let's get to question of the day. It's past 10 o'clock. Let's get to question of the day. But before we do, Salt Athletic, the official sponsor of us here at the National Soccer Network, and question of the day, use promo code NSN15 to save 15% off. Scan the QR code on your screen or visit saltathletic.com today. Woo! Panic meter for the Detroit Lions. I'll go first. 7. Team sucks.
Wow. Dynamite drop in there, Ryan.
Team's garbage. Retool the whole offensive line. We have no O-line. The offense is not good whatsoever.
Team is garbage.
Team is garbage. They don't allow Goff to throw. There's only 2 options we can use on offense. Amon-Ra, who decides to drop the ball all the time.
Before you dive in, Ryan, I'm gonna come in here because this little cub over here who's been a Lions fan all about 7 minutes has the audacity to call this team garbage. I think you need to take a step back, my friend, and really, really evaluate what your life is all about because the Lions are not garbage.
My life.
Yeah,
they are garbage.
To come out and make that statement, dude, this Detroit Lions team, who I've been watching for 40 plus years, is not garbage.
I've watched them for 15 years.
I mean, oh my God.
And in relation to the historical...
And you and I have probably seen the same amount of playoff wins in that time.
Yeah.
You might have one more than me. You have 3. You have 3. I have 2.
Yes, I watched the Detroit Lions. I've watched them make it to an NFC Championship twice in my lifetime. That is true.
So you have one more playoff victory. There is nothing about this team that says this team is winning a Super Bowl. There is nothing about this team.
I don't know where that's even a measuring stick.
Look at what we did against the Eagles.
Dude, this is the Detroit Lions. You think the Cleveland Browns are going, we can't wait till we win a Super Bowl? No, they're just happy to get a fucking win. Excuse my French, but I mean, like, they want to win. Right now,
Shedeur Sanders did it, by the way.
I don't believe for one second that this team this year is capable of winning a Super Bowl based on their current playing. That's not my meter.
Based on their current form.
But to say that they're garbage is completely different.
The Lions.
It's completely different.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm just saying, if the last year this team was unbelievable, they found ways to win games that they shouldn't have won, and I would argue last year
impose their will. They can't anymore.
I would argue last year that the team last year, with a lot of things that was going on, that team was not the team that we thought they could be based on how they were playing and the teams they were playing against.
Because they had an offense. They don't have an offense anymore.
The thing that's concerning to me is that their offensive line is leaky.
Absolutely.
This is just not, and I said it the other day, this is not a team that can bully other teams around anymore. And I think it was so exciting as Lions fans when we had that, because the one adage that will always remain the same in football, and I don't care how far we are down the line, I don't care how many 7-on-damn-7s you do, how much you love to throw the football, your little cute air raid offense you got going on. If you can't run the damn ball, you're not going to win games. You're not going to win games.
Jahmyr Gibbs had 170 yards yesterday.
It was two amazing runs.
He had 170 yards. He had 260 all-purpose yards.
Yeah, I get it, but if we're talking about the Super Bowl, you can maybe rush it up against the Giants.
I'm not talking the Super Bowl. That wasn't the question. The question was, are the Lions? What's the meter at?
It's a panic meter.
means
It's
they
a 7.
suck.
Why are we panicking? There's no panic. You're at a 7. He called this team
Who's
garbage.
panicking? I'm not panicking.
You literally called this team garbage, Ryan.
We cannot
Okay.
pose our will anymore. We're not going to be able to pose our will in December or in January.
We
if we have
just
to go
held.
to Philly.
We
the Rams
hold
are
on,
better
hold
than
on,
us. The
hold on,
Seahawks are better
hold on,
than us.
hold on,
The
hold on. Again,
Eagles are
I
better than
gotta,
us.
I gotta
Look
say
at
this.
the fifth
best team.
We just held
in the
the
NFC.
Eagles to 16 points here last week. Yes, we just won in overtime. Yes, we just did that.
But we did nothing
and
on
again,
offense.
as someone who's watched this team for 40 years, I will tell you that the Lions that we're still seeing today are finding ways to win games when they would have lost them in the past. And so while this team to you might be garbage, which I
Because
completely
I need a
and
Super
utterly
Bowl. I need a Super Bowl this year. We're not getting
You
it.
need a Super Bowl?
Yes, because
Oh, okay, 15-year fan. Slow
because
it down,
if
my
we don't
guy.
win the Super Bowl, the season's
Yeah.
a failure.
Yeah, you
Now,
know,
for,
not that we're
for
talking
a
about
long
roster
time Lions fan,
reconstruction.
I don't hold them to that stand. I've never seen them close to the Super Bowl. I do not hold that yet. So I'm not
We're
there
half
yet.
away of making a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
We've
we were-
blown
yeah,
the
we were
two best
one
opportunities in
decent half
franchise
away.
history to win a Super Bowl. Last year's a 1 seed,
I
and
mean,
the year before that,
Maybe
we
just
were
to
up
get
by
there,
like
I think
17
would have been
points.
like the great,
We have blown the two best chances of making
You
the
just
Super
can't
Bowl.
call them garbage. I don't disagree with
John,
you
my
on the fact that
standard-
this
my-
team is not going to the Super Bowl, but you
My
can't call them
standard-
garbage.
My expectation is winning a Super Bowl this year. Anything other than that is a failure, and there's nothing that says this team is going to win a Super Bowl.
But you're
than what
calling
we've
them
seen.
garbage. It's like
They're
that's the
mid.
problem.
They're mid. I'll upgrade it. They're mid. They're just mid.
Fair enough.
They're mid.
Fair
I'll
enough.
upgrade it
Because
for
I'll
They're
tell you
mid.
what garbage is. 0-16 is garbage.
They're
Were you
just
even
mid.
alive for that? Were you alive for
Yes,
0-16?
I was.
You were? What? How old were you?
That was what, 2009?
So you're
2008?
5.
I was 5 or 6.
Yeah, 0-16. That was garbage.
This team is mid. There, I'll up. But it's garbage.
Perfect.
It's garbage in terms of my standards because this team needs to win a Super Bowl and they're not going to do it.
Fair enough. I guess you have high standards over here.
Yeah,
right? High
exactly.
standards.
That's what we need to up in this town, but no one wants to say it.
You know,
We've
once you get in
raised
the
the
playoffs,
standard.
anything can happen. We've already seen that, right?
Yeah, but they're not going to go win in Philly. They're not going to beat the Rams. They're
we're-
not going to beat the Seahawks at this rate. They're not. We are probably the 5th or 4th best. We're probably the 5th best team in this NFC conference.
Okay. And I would agree. Last year, as the number 1 seed, we were probably really more like 5.
What?
But we were not.
No!
We were not.
with the injuries at the
With
end of the
dude,
year.
I'm talking about the weight.
yeah.
Come on, dude. We were like
Yeah.
so hurt, man. Last year.
I would
We
say
had
the
a
Eagles,
Walmart
and that was it.
defense
The
out there.
Commanders know. The
Dude,
Bucs
we were
know.
what? If we didn't beat the Vikings, we wouldn't even have been the number 1 seed. Remember that? We would have been like what would the
Sam
we
Darnold,
would
you
have
can't
7th
trust
seed.
them in big games. You cannot trust Sam Darnold in big games. That's all I gotta say.
All that I'm saying is that we were 1 win away from either being or loss away from being the 1 seed or being what 5, 6.
Yeah, but because that's
So I mean,
but we
like
had-
that completely
but
different.
We were
and
the
to be
second-
fair, I would argue that have we been the lower seed, not the higher seed, I actually think we would have done better.
No. There
yeah,
was no way
no.
we were beating the Rams again. No way. We were not going after losing that big of a moment to go back, fly all the way out to LA, who was, mind you, they were playing for something completely different at that point. They were fighting for their whole city and all the fires at the time.
I just think that the week
We
the
would
week-
not have beaten
the
the
week
Rams.
by
No
hurt
way we
us.
would
I
have
think
beat
the
the
week
Rams.
by hurt us. I think if we kept playing, I think it would have been we would have been
No,
better
we would have
spot.
lost to the Rams 100% because we
Maybe.
had because we had the overtime win in the regular season and then we beat them in the playoffs.
You know, you're really making these assurances, man. You're
We were
making,
not
you know,
beating the
you're-
Rams last year. We were not.
You're really coming in hot, man, with these assurances over here. You know, I mean, I oftentimes
Because
say
one
bold
may
things,
stay
but he's out there
bold.
would have lost.
The team's mid, just like Michigan is just mid. It's just a whole bunch of mid in this town.
Well, Michigan was Jim Harbaugh
All I
and
gotta
cheating.
say
That's
is
what
the
Michigan
only
was.
the only hope I have to a title is Arsenal. Tottenham sucks. Belt. As a belt. yesterday.
Let's get out here. It's 10:09. I want to give some scheduling updates here this week. We will. We projected our 200 episode to be on Friday. Well, we forgot that there's a holiday, and so on this week.
not smart on our part.
So today's 196, 197 tomorrow, 198 on Wednesday. Then we will take Thursday off because it's Thanksgiving, as we should, and Friday off because I don't want to come in on Friday. So we will be back on Monday for episode 199, and then 200 will be on Tuesday. So a week from tomorrow will be 200. And so I think we finally have our final schedule in place. But 196 officially in the books. And so that's Nathan Wangler, our garbage man Ryan Glinsky over here to my left. Garbage man over here thinking the Lions are garbage, man. I struggle when you say things like that. When you could say so many other words to describe this season. I don't think garbage is it.
They're not good.
You're hurting his soul, man.
Again, not good is also not a way to put this.
Anyway, that's the National Soccer Network. Inside the Game.
Goodbye.
Ryan's going to send us out. There we go. Ryan,
See
send
you
us out.
tomorrow.
From the biggest matches to the hottest takes, Jonathan Turner and Nathan Wangler bring you the stories, the analysis, and the edge you won't get anywhere else. Streaming live weekdays at 9 a.m. on YouTube, Roku TV, Facebook, Twitter, and all major platforms. No filters, no fluff, just real talk, real soccer. This is Inside the Game.